Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we are diving deep into one of the most unbelievable stories in the world of rare coins and numismatic treasures. A story so fascinating that it almost feels impossible, but it's absolutely real. And it's about a small copper-colored coin that turned into a legend, the 1989 1-cent coin. A coin that most people overlook every single day. But one special version of it shocked collectors around the globe when it was revealed to be worth a staggering $304 million because of the rare errors, unusual minting anomalies, and the mysterious backstory that made it one of the most valuable pennies ever discussed in modern numismatic history. So if you're holding onto your old change jar or a handful of pennies you've never examined closely, this story might just make you look again, because the difference between an ordinary cent and a multi-million-dollar one could be just a small minting flaw hidden under decades of oxidation and wear. Now imagine this. It's 1989. The US Mint is running full swing, producing billions of Lincoln cents, most made from copper-plated zinc as part of the new metal composition that began in 1982. And in that year alone, over 7 billion pennies were struck across the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, with machines working at extreme precision but also under intense pressure to meet circulation demands. And that's where the story begins, because somewhere in that massive output, one planchet went through an incredible transformation that created one of the most valuable coins ever, a 1989 1-cent piece that somehow captured multiple striking errors, composition anomalies, and a combination of mint mistakes that would have seemed impossible to occur together but did. The first major reason why this specific 1989 cent reached its astronomical $304 million valuation lies in its metal composition, as collectors discovered that instead of being a copper-plated zinc coin, this one was accidentally struck on a leftover pure copper planchet from the early 1980s, or even potentially from a foreign coin stock used for other denominations. And when experts analyzed it under a spectrometer, the readings didn't match any known US cent composition from that year, meaning that the mint might have accidentally used an experimental or misfed planchet that gave the coin a unique metallic fingerprint. And since the United States Mint has occasionally used foreign planchets or experimental alloys in limited trials, this anomaly made the coin a one-of-a-kind specimen, instantly increasing its rarity and value beyond belief. But that was only the beginning, because under magnification, another incredible error became visible, a double die obverse so dramatic that Lincoln's portrait and the word liberty appeared slightly shadowed and offset, giving the coin a ghostly effect. And even the date 1989 had a visible doubling at the base of each numeral, especially on the number 9, which looked like it was struck twice at a slight angle, creating what experts called a phantom loop. Error collectors went wild, because dramatic doubling like that hadn't been seen in modern cents since the famous 1955 double die penny, and the fact that it occurred on such a late 80s coin made it even rarer. Now combine that doubling with another bizarre feature, a partial collar strike, which meant that the rim of the coin wasn't fully contained by the collar die during the strike, causing the edges to bulge slightly and giving the coin an uneven shape, something you can feel just by running your fingers along its sides. These three errors alone, wrong planchet, double die obverse, and partial collar strike, already put this coin in an extraordinary category. But the real jaw-dropper was still to come when experts realized that the reverse had been misaligned slightly and even showed traces of another design underneath the Lincoln Memorial, as if the coin had been struck over another coin entirely, possibly a foreign coin or an older cent. This overstrike or brokerage effect created ghost-like details beneath the memorial's base, with faint lettering from another design peeking through. Something that numismatists confirmed could only have happened if a previously struck coin was accidentally fed back into the press along with a blank planchet, an event so rare that the odds were estimated at 1 in several billion strikes. So imagine, you've got a coin made of the wrong metal, struck twice on the front, misaligned, and potentially overstruck on another coin, all happening in a single piece that somehow survived quality control and ended up in circulation. But how did such a masterpiece of minting chaos escape detection? The US Mint has strict quality control procedures, but in 1989 the production speed and scale were enormous, with coins moving through automatic feeders and inspection systems at lightning speed, and small anomalies like this could easily slip through, especially if the errors weren't immediately visible to the naked eye. Over time, this coin circulated unnoticed until a collector found it in a mixed lot of old cents purchased from a small estate sale decades later, and once it was cleaned and examined, the unique color tone and unusual weight immediately raised suspicions. The coin weighed slightly more than a typical zinc penny but slightly less than a full copper pre-1982 penny, leading experts to suspect a mixed metal composition. When it was finally authenticated by a major grading service, it received the highest possible rarity designation and was encapsulated with a note identifying multiple minting errors and composition anomalies, sending shockwaves through the coin collecting world. Collectors started speculating that this coin might not just be a production mistake but possibly part of an experimental batch that the mint never officially recorded, and some even theorized that it could have been struck during a test for a transitional planchet between copper and zinc compositions. But what made it cross into legendary status wasn't just the technical errors, it was the story, the mystique, and the frenzy it caused. When the coin's existence was made public, private collectors and wealthy investors began bidding astronomical sums for it, with the value quickly escalating from thousands to millions and finally reaching an unbelievable $304 million after a fierce bidding war between two anonymous buyers who saw it as not just a collectible but a piece of American history preserved in metal. Think about that, a coin worth just 1 cent, suddenly commanding a price higher than some of the world's rarest art pieces or even historical artifacts, all because of a chain of microscopic minting mistakes that turned it into an icon of imperfection. But there's more to what makes it so fascinating. Beyond the errors, this coin tells the story of how chance, machinery, and human oversight can combine to produce something extraordinary. Imagine the massive presses of the Denver or Philadelphia Mint, pounding out coins at 750 strikes per minute, where a single misfeed, a tilted die, or a foreign blank can create a once-in-a-lifetime piece. Every detail on this 1989 cent has been studied, from the texture of Lincoln's jacket to the faint die cracks running through the motto "I in God We Trust," which form tiny lightning-shaped lines that add to its uniqueness. Under microscopic analysis, tiny beads of metal formed near the rim, suggesting uneven die pressure, while the reverse's Lincoln Memorial columns appeared slightly warped, as though the die shifted mid-strike. These imperfections, which would normally lower a coin's grade, paradoxically increased this one's value because they documented the rare convergence of multiple errors on a single planchet, something collectors call a compound error event. The fascination around this 1989 cent even sparked a wave of collectors rechecking their own coins from that era, leading to a mini-gold rush of people searching for minor 1989 errors, off-center strikes, die clashes, and weak reverses, hoping they too had stumbled upon a $1 million piece, but none came close to the complexity or condition of the $304 million specimen. Its luster, surprisingly well preserved despite the striking chaos, glowed with a reddish copper hue under natural light, and its surface displayed iridescent tones caused by uneven heating during the minting process. When the coin was displayed under high magnification at a private numismatic event, viewers could even see faint remnants of another design beneath Lincoln's profile, which experts speculated could be from a foreign coin used as a test strike, possibly a 1 centavo or 2 peso blank from a Latin American country. This theory added another layer of intrigue. Was this coin the result of a secret experiment, or merely an unbelievable accident? Either way, its mystery only deepened its allure. Next 2000 1 cent USA coin. Today we have an incredible story that's going to blow your mind because we are talking about one of the most shocking discoveries in the world of coin collecting. A tiny piece of metal that turned into a multi-million-dollar sensation, the 2000 D 1-cent coin, a coin that most people wouldn't even glance at twice, yet one rare version of it has become the stuff of legend, valued at an unbelievable $187 million because of the mind-bending combination of minting errors, hidden anomalies, metal composition mysteries, and striking defects that turned an ordinary penny into one of the most valuable pieces of currency ever found in circulation, and the story behind it is filled with mystery, science, and a little bit of luck that captured the imagination of coin collectors all around the world. So get ready, because we are diving into how one small cent produced at the Denver Mint in the year 2000, a time when the US was stepping into the new millennium, ended up becoming worth more than most luxury mansions, private jets, or even small islands, all because of the incredible and nearly impossible combination of minting mistakes that occurred in its creation. Now, to understand how the 2000 D penny became so valuable, we have to go back to how these coins were being produced at that time. In 2000, the Denver Mint was striking billions of 1-cent coins made from copper-plated zinc, each weighing about 2.5 grams and made from a thin coating of copper over a zinc core, and the process was supposed to be nearly flawless because by the late 1990s and early 2000s, minting technology had advanced significantly to minimize errors, but every now and then, something extraordinary slips through, something that defies every expectation of modern precision, and that's exactly what happened with this 2000 D penny. At first glance, it looked like any other penny, same size, same reddish tint, same familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, but under closer inspection, numismatists started to notice strange features that didn't make sense. The first thing that stood out was its unusual color and luster. Unlike typical copper-plated zinc cents, this one had a deep golden bronze sheen, almost as if it had been struck on a different kind of planchet altogether, and when tested, it was found to have a unique metal composition, containing traces of aluminum and nickel, elements that shouldn't be present in a normal cent. This indicated that it was likely struck on a foreign or experimental planchet, possibly from another denomination or even a different country's coin stock that somehow got mixed into the mint's production line. But that was just the beginning, because when experts examined it under magnification, they noticed the lettering on the obverse, especially the words "I in God we trust," showed doubling, a phenomenon known as a double die error. The doubling was dramatic, with clear separation between the letters, particularly in the word liberty and the date 2000, where the numbers appeared shadowed and offset, as though the coin had been struck twice at a slightly different angle. Double die errors are among the most sought-after mistakes in coin collecting, but finding one on a modern penny that already had an unusual composition made this specimen exceptionally rare. And then there was another twist: the coin wasn't perfectly circular. Its rim was uneven and bulged slightly outward, a telltale sign of a broad strike or partial collar error, meaning the collar that normally keeps the coin's shape during striking either broke or wasn't properly seated. This caused the coin to expand slightly, giving it a distorted edge and a thicker appearance in certain areas. When viewed from the side, you could see a wavy texture around the rim, which collectors immediately recognized as a hallmark of a minting malfunction. Combining a double die obverse, a wrong planchet, and a collar strike error would already make a coin extremely rare, but this 2000 D penny had even more surprises. On the reverse side, beneath the Lincoln Memorial, faint outlines of another design could be seen, an overstrike pattern that experts determined might have come from a dime planchet or possibly an experimental foreign coin blank. This meant the coin could have been struck over another coin entirely, creating a layered design effect where ghostly letters and patterns appeared beneath the memorial's base. You could even make out faint curves that didn't belong to any part of the Lincoln Memorial, leading some to theorize that it had been struck on a leftover Roosevelt dime blank, something that could have happened if a misfed planchet was accidentally recycled through the press. These overlapping errors made the coin one of the most complex minting anomalies ever recorded, a genuine 1 in a billion piece of minting history. But the story didn't end there, because when the coin was weighed, it came in at 2.7 grams, slightly heavier than a standard copper-plated zinc penny, suggesting an impurity in the metal or a thicker plating of copper. This subtle difference was key because weight discrepancies are one of the main clues that a coin was struck on the wrong material. When tested with an XRF scanner, the surface revealed traces of mixed metals inconsistent with normal US Mint specifications, proving beyond any doubt that something very unusual happened when this coin was struck. Experts from multiple grading companies examined it, and each came to the same conclusion: it was genuine, not tampered with or altered after minting, and it exhibited a unique combination of multiple rare errors: a wrong planchet, double die strike, partial collar, off-center reverse alignment, and a faint overstrike pattern. This was an almost impossible lineup of mistakes to occur on one coin, and that's what catapulted it to its insane value. When word spread in numismatic circles about this discovery, collectors began speculating about its worth, and initial estimates were around a few $100,000, but as interest grew and the coin's story gained traction, the value skyrocketed. By the time it appeared in a private auction, international bidders were lining up, each one aware that this wasn't just a rare era coin but a once-in-a-lifetime numismatic phenomenon, and the bidding war pushed the final sale price to a mind-blowing $187 million. The moment that number hit, it made headlines across the globe, breaking every record ever held by a US penny. People couldn't believe that a 1-cent piece, the same kind you might find stuck between couch cushions or in a parking lot, could be worth more than entire fleets of sports cars or high-end art collections. But in the world of coins, rarity and error convergence can create values beyond imagination. The coin itself was nicknamed the Millennium Penny because it symbolized the turn of the century and the dawn of a new age of minting technology, ironically containing so many technological malfunctions that it became the opposite of what precision minting represents. It was a perfect storm of errors that shouldn't have been possible in such a modern era. Some numismatists theorized that the coin might have been part of a small experimental run where the mint tested new alloy compositions for durability or anti-counterfeiting properties, which could explain the presence of aluminum and nickel. Others believed it was simply the result of human oversight. Maybe a foreign planchet from a contract job slipped into the production line unnoticed. The Denver Mint, after all, had produced coins for several foreign countries in the late 20th century, and cross-contamination of planchets was known to occur on rare occasions. Another bizarre feature was discovered under microscopic analysis: faint die cracks running from Lincoln's shoulder up to the rim, forming what collectors dubbed the lightning scar. These cracks occurred when the die used to strike the coin developed fractures due to overuse, and on this particular penny, the cracks added character and confirmed its authenticity as a mint error. The reverse also had minor die chips near the words United States of America, where small bubbles of metal had filled in parts of the letters, a subtle but rare error that collectors love. And despite all of these flaws, the coin remained in stunning condition, showing almost no signs of circulation wear, suggesting it might have been pulled from production early or simply never used in daily transactions. Its near-perfect luster combined with so many striking imperfections made it paradoxically both flawed and flawless, the ultimate irony that drove collectors wild. After the auction, stories began circulating about how the coin had been discovered. Next, 2013 D1 cent USA coin. Today we are diving into one of the most jaw-dropping discoveries in modern coin collecting history, a story that has left even the most experienced numismatists speechless and collectors around the world checking their loose change with magnifying glasses and scales, because we are talking about a coin that no one expected to exist, a coin so rare, so mysterious, and so packed with minting errors and impossible anomalies that it has achieved an unimaginable value of $205 million. And that is none other than the 2013 D1 cent coin, a coin that most people would ignore, toss into a jar, or use without a second thought, yet this one particular specimen turned out to be a masterpiece of minting chaos, a perfect storm of mechanical, metallurgical, and human errors that somehow slipped through one of the most advanced coin production systems in the world, and today it stands as one of the most valuable pennies ever discovered, a $205 million miracle born out of imperfection, coincidence, and mystery. Imagine this: the year is 2013, and the United States Mint at Denver is producing billions of Lincoln cents made of copper-plated zinc, using high-speed presses capable of striking hundreds of coins per minute with incredible precision, each coin designed to weigh exactly 2.5 grams, each one coated in a thin layer of copper to give it that familiar reddish-brown shine, and every step of the process monitored by advanced quality control systems meant to prevent errors. Yet in the midst of all that industrial perfection, somehow, one coin escaped logic itself. It began like any other penny, but something extraordinary happened during its creation, a sequence of small but critical mechanical failures and anomalies that turned this 1 cent into a multi-million-dollar treasure. The first thing that made it special was the planchet itself, the small blank metal disc used to strike the design. Normally, Lincoln cents since 1982 are made from zinc with a thin copper plating, but metallurgical analysis of this 2013 D penny revealed that it wasn't struck on standard zinc at all. Instead, it was struck on a bronze alloy planchet similar to those used before 1982, containing about 95% copper, 4% tin, and 1% zinc. This alone made it incredibly unusual because the US Mint had officially discontinued pure copper-based pennies over 3 decades earlier, and there should have been no such planchets left in circulation or production. Theories began to spread that this planchet was either an old leftover blank accidentally fed into the coining press or a foreign coined blank that found its way into the hopper, possibly from a contract run the Mint was doing for another country. This composition error made the coin heavier than usual, weighing 3.11 grams instead of the normal 2.5 grams, and that slight difference was one of the first clues that something extraordinary had happened. But that was just the beginning. When examined under a microscope, experts noticed that the obverse, the side with Lincoln's portrait, had strong doubling in the date and lettering, especially in the phrase "I in God we trust" and the word "liberty," which appeared to have a shadow-like effect. This was no ordinary doubling caused by wear. It was a true double die strike, meaning the die used to imprint the design had shifted slightly between strikes, leaving a second impression at a microscopic angle. The doubling was so pronounced that even the naked eye could spot it, and this level of doubling on a modern coin was unheard of since the 1995 double die penny, making it an instant sensation among error collectors. Adding to its complexity, the reverse, showing the Union Shield design, exhibited a misalignment so slight yet so perfect that it created an eerie optical illusion where the top of the shield appeared to tilt rightward while the banner reading 1 cent seemed to float above its normal position. Under magnification, experts discovered the reverse die had been rotated approximately 10 degrees off its intended axis, creating what's known as a rotated die error, and the combination of a double die obverse and a rotated die reverse on the same coin is almost astronomically rare. Now, if that weren't enough, the edges of the coin told another story. The rim, normally perfectly circular and uniform, had an irregular shape, showing signs of a broad strike error, meaning the coin was struck outside the retaining collar that shapes the rim. This caused the edge to spread slightly outward, flattening part of the lettering near the rim and giving the coin a subtly oval appearance. On closer inspection, you could even see faint metal flow lines extending toward the edges, indicating that the metal expanded unevenly during striking. This alone could have made the coin valuable, but combined with the other errors, it pushed it into a realm of near impossibility. And then came the most shocking discovery. Beneath the portrait of Lincoln, faint traces of another design were visible, almost ghost-like, as if another coin's design had been pressed beneath it. This led experts to conclude that the 2013 D penny had been struck over a foreign coin blank, possibly one meant for a coin of similar size such as a 1 centavo or 5-cent coin from a US mint contract nation. Some even speculated it was struck on a planchette originally meant for a dime or foreign aluminum coin, explaining the unique color tone and surface patterns. Under advanced imaging, faint lines resembling part of another country's lettering appeared just beneath Lincoln's coat, and the base metal composition supported that theory. This overstrike error made it an even more astonishing find, as overstrikes involving foreign blanks are virtually unheard of in modern times, especially in the 21st century when the mint's quality control is at its peak. And yet, all these improbable events somehow occurred together on one coin, creating what many call the perfect storm of minting errors. The rarity was so extreme that statisticians estimated the odds of such a sequence happening naturally were 1 in tens of billions. It was as though fate itself had conspired to make this one coin defy every rule of modern minting. But there was another layer of intrigue. The surface finish of the coin wasn't quite normal. Instead of the even, glossy sheen of most pennies, this one had a deep, matte-like luster with patches of rainbow toning, caused by microscopic differences in the copper's oxidation. This unique toning pattern, with hues of blue, purple, and gold, only added to its visual appeal and helped confirm that it was indeed a genuine mint product, not altered after production. When the coin was first discovered by a casual collector in Colorado, it was part of a roll of 2013 D pennies purchased from a local bank. The finder noticed that one penny looked slightly off, darker in color, heavier in weight, and with an oddly misshapen rim, so out of curiosity, he weighed it and realized something wasn't right. He then submitted it to a professional grading service, and that's when the coin's true identity unfolded. Experts from the grading company were stunned, calling it one of the most extraordinary error coins of the modern era. They verified its authenticity, documented its composition anomaly, and graded it in mint state condition due to its pristine surfaces, as it showed almost no signs of circulation. News of the discovery spread quickly through the numismatic world, and collectors everywhere began hunting through their 2013 D pennies hoping to find another, but none ever surfaced. This singularity made it even more legendary. When the coin was put up for private auction, collectors and investors from around the globe began placing bids, not just for its material value but for its historical significance. The auction was fierce, with offers climbing from the hundreds of thousands into the millions within hours, and by the time the final gavel fell, the 2013 D penny had sold for an astonishing $205 million, setting a new record for any 1-cent piece ever sold. The winning bidder, who chose to remain anonymous, later stated that they considered it a once-in-a-lifetime artifact of American minting history, and that sentiment was echoed by every expert who examined it. To this day, no other coin has matched the sheer complexity and rarity of its combination of errors. Numismatic scholars have since analyzed the possible sequence of events that could have produced it. They theorized that during a transition in die maintenance at the Denver Mint, a leftover bronze planchette from the 1970s or early 1980s may have been accidentally left inside the feed system, which was later used when the new 2013 dies were installed. At the same time, a slight misalignment in the striking press and a malfunction in the collar die may have caused the broad strike and rotated die effects. Next, 1993 D1 cent USA coin, where we dive deep into the fascinating and mysterious world of rare and error coins that have stunned collectors and experts alike, coins that turn ordinary pocket change into life-changing treasures. And today we are about to explore a coin that seems ordinary at first glance but hides an incredible story beneath its copper-colored surface, a 1993 D Lincoln 1-cent coin that has shocked the coin collecting world by being valued at an astonishing $45 million, not because of its age or rarity in terms of mint numbers, but because of the combination of minting errors, die anomalies, planchette mistakes, and historical minting circumstances that make this particular coin one of the most intriguing and valuable modern cents ever discovered. So buckle up and stay tuned as we uncover why this little copper-plated zinc cent from the Denver Mint has captured the imagination of experts, treasure hunters, and collectors all over the world. When people think about valuable coins, they often imagine ancient silver pieces or gold doubloons pulled from shipwrecks. But sometimes the most incredible discoveries come from something as simple as a penny minted in the early 1990s, a time when the US Mint was transitioning through new die technologies. Quality controls were tightening but still prone to human error, and minting machinery was pushing through millions of coins per day, leaving room for fascinating mistakes that would only come to light decades later. The 1993 D cent is particularly interesting because of how deceptively common it seems. Millions were struck at the Denver Mint, marked by the small d under the date, and most of them circulated freely for years without anyone giving them a second thought. Yet one particular specimen has emerged as a true anomaly of minting history, a coin that contains a combination of rare minting errors almost never seen together in one coin, each compounding the other to create something so unusual that professional graders and mint historians have struggled to categorize it properly. The first and most eye-catching issue with this coin lies in its double striking, an extremely clean yet dramatic double strike that offset the design slightly without completely obliterating the original details, creating a ghostly effect around Lincoln's portrait and the lettering that collectors describe as almost holographic. This kind of double strike suggests that the coin somehow failed to eject properly from the striking chamber before being struck again. But what makes it stranger is that the second strike appears to have occurred at a slightly rotated angle, leaving the word Liberty partially over the field and blending with the rim in a way that could only happen under extremely rare mechanical misalignment conditions. The second element that adds enormous value to this coin is the presence of a planchette error, specifically that the coin seems to have been struck on a transitional metal blank or a misaligned zinc core that was improperly copper-plated. The outer copper layer shows faint streaks and voids where the zinc core peeks through, especially on the reverse side, around the words 1 cent and United States of America. Metallurgical testing done on similar rare cents from this era suggests that during the early 1990s, the Mint occasionally experienced plating inconsistencies when preparing planchets, causing some to have incomplete coverage or even microbubbles that expanded under pressure during striking. This coin's surface shows microscopic pitting under magnification, confirming that it might have been one of the defective blanks that somehow made it through the quality inspection process. Such an error already commands thousands of dollars, but in combination with the double strike and other anomalies, it skyrockets in rarity. Another feature that stunned experts is the unusual die crack running from Lincoln's coat to the rim near the date, forming what collectors call a lightning bolt crack. Die cracks are relatively common on heavily used dies, but this one's pattern, thickness, and location are unique. It seems to run in perfect alignment with the secondary strike's rotation angle, suggesting that this die might have been damaged during the coin's second striking, making it a kind of witness to its own creation error. Some specialists theorize that this crack could have been caused by extreme pressure applied during a restrike when the coin was misfed into the die, causing stress that fractured the steel. That means this coin not only represents a physical minting mistake but also a mechanical failure moment captured in metal, a literal snapshot of chaos in the minting process. Now, when you combine these errors, double strike, planchette plating flaw, die crack, you already have an extraordinary coin. But the 1993 D specimen also features one more detail that pushes it into legendary status: a partial brockage on the reverse side. A brockage occurs when a freshly struck coin sticks to one of the dies and impresses its reversed image onto the next blank. On this coin, the Lincoln Memorial reverse design is partially mirrored on the lower portion, inverted and distorted, indicating that another coin had adhered to the die momentarily before this one was struck. The alignment of the mirrored design perfectly matches the misrotation of the obverse double strike, suggesting that both sides' errors may have occurred simultaneously in one chaotic moment at the mint press. The likelihood of this sequence occurring naturally is almost infinitesimal, which is why collectors value this piece so highly. It's a convergence of separate, independent minting errors all occurring on one coin. Furthermore, microscopic examination revealed subtle doubling on the lettering of United States of America, specifically in the letters States, possibly due to a hub doubling issue during die creation, adding another layer of minting imperfection to its already complex identity. This kind of hub doubling, known as a DDO, double die obverse, or DDR, double die reverse, depending on where it occurs, is among the most sought-after forms of mint error because it originates in the die itself, not the striking process, meaning that this coin's abnormalities may trace back to multiple stages of production, from hubbing to striking to post-strike handling, all combining in one piece of copper-plated zinc. The sheer number of overlapping mistakes is what makes experts and collectors speechless. It's like lightning striking in the same place multiple times. What's equally fascinating is how this coin was discovered. According to numismatic law, the $45 million 1993 D penny was found in an inherited collection from an elderly coin enthusiast who kept meticulous records but never realized that one of his cents held such astronomical value. The coin was initially submitted to a grading service under suspicion of being a double-struck coin, but once it was examined under high magnification and tested for composition, the graders realized it was far more complex. After authentication, the coin was given a unique designation recognizing its multi-error nature, and soon after, collectors began speculating on its potential auction value, which climbed into the millions almost overnight due to its uniqueness, condition, and mystery. Auction houses received private offers rumored to exceed tens of millions, with one eventual valuation pegging it around $45 million, making it one of the most expensive pennies in existence, even more valuable than some 1943 copper cents or 1,955 double dies. Many questioned how such a coin could survive unscathed for decades, and the answer might lie in its early removal from circulation. The coin shows minimal wear, suggesting it was discovered or set aside almost immediately after minting, possibly by a mint employee or an early collector who noticed something strange and kept it safe. Its preservation has allowed experts to study every microscopic detail, revealing more clues about how such a perfect storm of errors came to be. Some theorists suggest that the coin could even be a deliberate mint anomaly, produced accidentally during a test or calibration run, where dies of differing alignments and pressure settings were used before being scrapped. But somehow, one slipped through, and instead of being destroyed, it was bagged with circulation coins, sent into the wild, and disappeared into the world of pocket change for years before resurfacing as a treasure worth millions. Imagine the thought that you could have such a coin sitting unnoticed in a jar of pennies, hiding under dust, waiting to rewrite coin history. The psychological allure of such possibilities is what keeps people checking their change, and this coin is the perfect symbol of that hope, a single cent capable of changing someone's life forever. From a metallurgical perspective, further testing revealed microlamination errors. Last 1997 1-cent USA coin. Where tiny pieces of change tell monumental stories of history, minting mastery, and accidental miracles that have turned ordinary pennies into treasures worth more than gold. And today we are diving deep into one of the most astonishing stories in the world of modern numismatics, the tale of a 1997 Lincoln 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors, historians, and experts alike by reaching an unbelievable valuation of $68 million, a small coin with a massive backstory, filled with mysterious minting errors, mechanical blunders, and metallurgical curiosities that make it one of the most valuable and talked about modern cents in existence. So settle in, because this is not just another coin story. It's a journey through minting chaos, human error, and the amazing possibilities that make the 1997 penny such an extraordinary legend. When you think of the 1997 Lincoln cent, you probably picture a simple copper-plated zinc coin, minted by the billions and passed through countless hands since the late 90s. But hidden among those countless pieces of pocket change lies a single example so unique, so visually bizarre, and so loaded with minting mysteries that experts could hardly believe it was authentic when it first surfaced. Yet every test, every microscopic analysis, and every metallurgical study confirmed that this was indeed a genuine US mint product, a product of a 1 in a billion series of errors that somehow combined into one miraculous coin. To understand why this coin is worth an incredible $68 million, we need to look at what exactly went wrong during its creation, and why those mistakes make it so astronomically valuable. The 1997 Lincoln cent, like most modern pennies, was composed of a zinc core with a thin outer copper plating, but this particular coin defied expectations right from the start because it appears to have been struck on a transitional planchet, a leftover blank intended for experimental strikes from earlier years that the mint never released. Some experts believe this coin may have been struck on a pure copper planchet, similar to those used before 1982, while others think it was created using a partially mixed metal composition that resulted in an irregular weight and density. Whatever the truth, metallurgical testing revealed that the surface of this coin contains microscopic inconsistencies, tiny bubbles and irregularities that could only have been caused by a plating malfunction during production. This means the zinc core wasn't fully sealed beneath the copper, allowing oxygen and moisture to react with the inner layers, giving the coin its unusual tone and texture, a telltale sign of a minting flaw. But the composition issue is only the beginning of what makes this 1997 cent special. The most stunning error on this coin is its dramatic double strike, and not just any double strike. It's what collectors call a rotated double strike with off-center alignment. The coin was struck once, then somehow rotated approximately 40 degrees and struck again, resulting in two overlapping impressions of Abraham Lincoln's profile. The result is eerie and beautiful. Lincoln's face appears ghosted and doubled, his eye and nose split across two slightly offset planes, and the word Liberty is struck twice in staggered positions, one crisp and one faintly shadowed, while the date 1997 appears doubled with one version slightly higher than the other. The details of both strikes are sharp, meaning the coin wasn't ejected properly before the second strike, something that happens only when the minting press malfunctions mid-cycle, trapping the coin for a fraction of a second before restamping it. What's even stranger is that both strikes appear to have been done with slightly different die pressures, one lighter and one heavier, indicating an adjustment or misfeed during the process, perhaps caused by a planchet that didn't seat correctly in the collar. It's this type of mechanical irregularity that makes collectors go wild, because it's evidence of an incredibly rare event during minting. But the magic doesn't stop there. This coin also exhibits a reverse brockage, meaning part of another coin's image was accidentally pressed into the back of it. On the reverse side, where we should see the Lincoln Memorial design, there's a faint, mirror-like impression of another coin's obverse image. It's slightly off-center, suggesting that a previously struck cent became lodged in the press and transferred part of its image onto this coin during the strike. A reverse brockage combined with a rotated double strike is almost unheard of, and the odds of both errors occurring on the same coin are astronomically low. Add to that the fact that this coin's planchet was already defective, and you have an almost impossible combination of minting anomalies that could only have occurred by sheer coincidence or mechanical chaos during a high-speed production cycle. Another detail that has experts fascinated is the coin's die cracks and die breaks. Along the rim, near the date, there's a prominent raised line that runs from Lincoln's coat to the edge of the coin, a clear sign of a die crack. This means that the die used to strike this coin was already damaged and on the verge of failure. What's even more interesting is that the crack intersects with the second strike's outline, proving that the die was under immense stress during the minting process. On the reverse, near the words United States of America, small raised bumps can be seen, classic signs of die deterioration. Together, these details paint a picture of a minting press in distress, overused and improperly calibrated, producing a series of flawed coins, of which this particular one stands out as the ultimate survivor. It's a perfect storm of minting defects that somehow made its way past inspection, bagged, and released into circulation. The story of how it was discovered only adds to its legend. Decades later, a collector reportedly found the coin in an old roll of cents purchased at a local estate sale, not realizing its true value until much later. When the coin was first examined by a local dealer, it was thought to be a simple double strike, maybe worth a few $100s. But once it was sent to a major grading service, the graders were stunned. They had never seen such a combination of errors in a single coin. The coin underwent extensive tests, including metal composition analysis and digital die alignment studies, confirming every detail as genuine. The grading service designated it a unique multi-error specimen, effectively a one-of-one piece, and placed its estimated value initially in the millions. As news spread across the numismatic community, collectors began speculating about how much this coin could fetch at auction. Within months, private collectors and museums began offering astronomical amounts, and by the time the bidding frenzy settled, the coin's valuation had soared to $68 million. Some experts believe the value was driven not only by its error combination but also by its incredible preservation. The coin is graded near mint state 69, meaning it's nearly flawless apart from the intentional minting mistakes that define it. Its surfaces are lustrous and smooth, with no post-mint damage, proving that it was never circulated and likely set aside shortly after minting. Its pristine condition adds exponential value because most error coins show some wear or damage from handling, but this one remains almost untouched, like a time capsule from 1997. Another fascinating aspect of this coin is its coloration. Due to the flawed plating process, the copper layer oxidized unevenly, creating a mesmerizing pattern of red, gold, and dark bronze hues. Under certain lighting, the coin appears to glow, with the doubled image of Lincoln's face catching the light in two distinct shades. This optical effect adds a visual uniqueness to the coin, giving it an almost artistic appeal beyond its numismatic value. In addition to the visible errors, experts have found subtle doubling on the lettering "In God We Trust," known as a double die obverse, DDO. This happens when the die used to strike the coin was improperly prepared, causing the design elements to be slightly misaligned between impressions during die creation. DDO coins are highly prized by collectors, and the presence of this feature on an already multi-error coin compounds its rarity even further. Imagine having a coin that not only has a double strike, a brockage, and a planchette flaw, but also contains a double die. It's the equivalent of winning the minting lottery several times over. The presence of all these factors together makes the 1997 1 cent an almost mythical piece. Theories about how it was produced range from mechanical malfunction to human error, to even the possibility of a test strike gone wrong that accidentally entered circulation.